So, a season to remember from Power Rangers Zeo. I tackled this particular episode a year ago and commented on how it was lackluster, below mediocre, and devoid of any great chances it could have tackled, thus making me affirm that this Power Rangers franchise holiday special was not only one of the most lackluster I've ever seen, but also one that could have had a lot more promise if it had more focus and if it had a lot more clarity, thus clearing out any crap it had from this particular holiday episode. Back then, I covered it in rather broad strokes, and while I was slightly specific in those points, I felt like I should have been a lot more explicit as to what problems and solutions that I could formulate in terms of how to make a season to remember improve. But now that I've approached a season to remember with a more critical and more open mind, I think it is time for me to address the problems that a season to remember has, as well as the solutions that I can formulate to make this Power Rangers Zeo holiday episode better in an ideal fashion. In fact, I found 7 issues with a season to remember, and I propose 7 solutions to fix those said problems. Why 7? Because that's the number of my ideal Power Rangers dream team. With that said, let's get cracking, starting off with number 1. The Old Man Tommy segments just fill up most of the episode. They were just fluff and nothing more. And while it was kind of fun, let alone entertaining, to see Jason David Frank don old man costume as the old Tommy Oliver, especially when he is telling his little Christmas tales to his youngest grandson, I felt that those segments were completely innocuous and contributed nothing to the main story. The solution to this problem is just cut out those old man Tommy segments and just be done with it altogether, and also cut to the main story altogether. Speaking of old man Tommy, we also have old lady Cat. Just also cut out her segments altogether, unless they forget about cutting out all the segments of Old Man Tommy, Old Lady Cat, and their 2 grandkids altogether, and nothing would have changed. Speaking of Old Man Tommy and Old Lady Cat, the whole Tomcat agenda continues to be shoved down viewers' throats. Even in the main story, we don't get to see Tommy and Cat romantically involved with each other. Compare Tommy's and Kat's moments with each other in a season to remember with Tommy's and Kimberly's really intimate and lovey-dovey moments found in I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger. Makes a whole world of difference, right? Here, we don't even get to see Tommy and Kat acknowledging each other as boyfriend and girlfriend. So if you still want to have Tomcat being promoted in Zeo, just have Tommy and Kat be more like boyfriend and girlfriend in the main story. Don't just have Tommy and Kat just be buddy-buddy in the main story and just have Old Man Tommy and Old Lady Kat be a couple in the future segments. That doesn't work, and it doesn't make it all cohesive. If you're gonna commit to it, commit to it. If not, just leave it all together. And speaking of the whole Tomcat agenda, I noticed that a lot of the vitriol against Tomcat was directly aimed toward a season to remember, when in fact, a lot of this was misplaced from the 3-parter There's No Business Like Snow Business, all due to the Dear John letter written by our dear friend Kimberly Ann Hart. Well, here's my proposal. Just do away with the whole stupid Tomcat agenda and just give me Tomberly in all of its genuineness and all of its sweetness and, of course, its wonderful development, and give me Kaysen, aka Jason and Kat, in all of their sinuousness and gorgeousness, and I'll be the happiest man ever. Just leave Tomcat out of the picture altogether and everything will be fine. Speaking of the old man Tommy and old lady Cat being a couple in the future segments, and Tommy and Cat being just colleagues, classmates, and friends in the main segments, and even cutting all that old man Tommy, old lady Cat, and Tomcat malarkey all together, and just have a season to remember be all about the International Holiday Festival, and even make Raymond a lot more useful. Because that there was really interesting. The preparation for the International Holiday Special was totally interesting. Because we get to see the Rangers celebrate various holidays from all over the world and from different cultures. It's even the first time that we get to be acquainted with Raymond, who is their technologically gifted friend, be in touch with his Jewish heritage, especially with Hanukkah. And since the Power Rangers franchise is also primarily targeted towards young children, let alone older children, this would also give them an idea of how people celebrate the holidays all over the world, not just from the West with Christmas, but also in the African American community with Kwanzaa, in the Jewish community with Hanukkah, celebrating Christmas here in Australia, and summer with prawns on the Barbie, celebrating Christmas in Mexico with a piñata and some tamales, and who knows, maybe even celebrating Christmas in Korea with traditional sweets such as steamed pears known as besuk. Because it seems like the International Holiday Festival was just nothing more than an afterthought of the whole flashbacks that Old Man Tommy and Old Lady Cat had of their younger years. By making the International Holiday Party be the main focus of the episode and have a season to remember run through this concept, everything would be explicit, concise, and way more focused. That leads me to another problem with a season to remember, and that is Bulk, Skull, and Lieutenant Stone being in a different locale. I understand that Power Rangers Zeo was trying to give Bulk and Skull a little bit more of independence and to be their own characters. Heck, they were even promised a spin-off show because they were also the ones who managed to steal the show from even the main Power Rangers' feet. And why not? Their dork ability is infectious, and their hilarity is absolutely fun, especially when combined with Lieutenant Stone's sternness and absolute strength as an authoritarian. However, having them separate from the main Rangers and Raymond's plots, as well as just functioning on their own, does cause some disjointedness. And say what you will about I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger and its problems that I've had, but at least that holiday special managed to keep Bulk and Skull together with the Rangers to make some cohesion within the main story. And at least there was a flow to the story and how they contributed. We could have had Lieutenant Stone, Bulk, and Skull be in charge of looking after the guests and even inspecting the suspicions occurring with the holiday party, as well as contributing with preparations. That would have been really interesting to see what even Lieutenant Stone celebrates for the holidays, especially considering that there is a whole lot to work off of from Lieutenant Stone, Bulk, Skull, the main Rangers, Ernie, and Raymond. And it would have been really fun to see all the banters occurring between Lieutenant Stone, Bulk, Skull, the main Rangers, Raymond, and Ernie, especially with all the preparations going on. And even see Bulk and Skull get themselves into shenanigans. And to make this even better, why even have Goldar and Rita Revolta to begin with? They just seem completely innocuous, other than to surprise Bulk and Skull with a giant fruitcake that they stolen from different people and just amalgamized it into their own giant fruitcake. Just cut Goldar and Rita Revolta all together and just make Lieutenant Stone, Bulk, and Skull partake in the preparation of the International Holiday Festival, and there you have it. A lot more cohesion and a lot more to work off of between all the characters in one specific locale. Now, these next two arguments do go hand in hand, and this former one is also something that I feel is quite controversial, considering that this character was an 11th hour character and should have been implemented either better or should have been completely cut out altogether. I'm of course talking about the Debbie Ex Machina problem. I've had a problem with Debbie Ex Machina, or the unnamed little girl, because all she was an 11th hour character, considering that she was just there to solve the problems that the Machine Empire caused with the Bias Blaster and stole all of the holiday paraphernalia. And she ends up entering with a nice little poster that she created and even stated that the best gift to give for the holidays is the gift of love. Honey, are you kidding me? What would happen if the Cogs and Prince Sprocket stole your poster? Would you still give the Power of Love credit to bring it back for you? No, you do something about it, little missy. Anyway, Debbie Ex Machina was just totally boring as a character. Completely boring and completely one note, to the point where after her little appearance, she was never seen again. Why? Because she was used as the writers for nothing more than a multicolored emergency button. That's it. And not to mention how she breaks the spell of the Bias Blaster with her nasal and annoying singing voice. It sounds like she's pinching her nose. And I know that I'm going hard on Debbie Ex Machina, but it feels like her entire presence was completely pointless, completely inconsequential, and added absolutely nothing to the main plot. All she did was spout out her mommy's pearls of wisdom, and of course, her little solution of singing her little song, which, mind you, was quite grating and was quite annoying to listen to due to her annoyingly nasal voice. And at the end of the day, she was just nothing more than a walking, talking Deus Ex Machina. And I know it is really unfair for me to get angry at a child character, but the writers implemented her extremely poorly. The fact that she was nothing more than an 11th hour character who just ends up saving the Rangers from their curse and nothing more was just something that I can never ever wrap my head around. And she's not like Becky, where I totally understand that she was lonely because her dad has been constantly working and doesn't really have that much time to spend with his daughter, and she feels like she has to make it really clear that she wants him to spend more time with her, especially throughout the holidays. And everything about Becky is totally relatable and understandable. What do we get from Debbie Ex Machina? Not much. We don't understand why is it that she keeps spouting out her mother's pearls of wisdom. Why is it that she's left alone in the youth center? Why is it that she's entered with a poster other than to just be nothing more than a walking, talking Deus Ex Machina with an annoyingly nasal singing voice? And as I stated in the previous video about A Season to Remember, that was not even the worst part. The worst part was she was not even given any fanfare, let alone any recognition of her saving the day, and we don't even get to be introduced to her mother. She was just that, an innocuously boring kid character with not much personality, and was just nothing more than a boring Deus Ex Machina, and hence this unnamed little girl was christened Debbie Ex Machina by yours truly. But let's make Debbie Ex Machina a little bit more interesting. Why not let Debbie Ex Machina have an actual name? And why not have her be a core character, at least in this particular holiday episode? Maybe her mother could drop her off to entrust her with the Rangers and Raymond to babysit her, especially considering that Debbie's mother would have had a lot of errands to do to make sure that the party's in full swing. Or you could have had the villains kidnap Debbie Ex Machina and even make her held ransom. That would have gone along with the usual Ranger format of the Power Rangers saving young innocent children from disaster, let alone harm, let alone stranger danger. Whether you cut Debbie Ex Machina out altogether, or just either make Debbie Ex Machina a kid victim, or make her a little bit more interesting and way more well established, anything could work with little Debbie Ex Machina to make the problem with her a little less egregious and make her presence a little bit more welcome. But in all honesty, Debbie Ex Machina has nothing on Becky from I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger. All she was boring, she was one note, and that's what she'll always remain as. And what I also remember from one live stream I had with my good friend, the movie fan, was that Debbie Ex Machina was not really an original character for this particular holiday episode, as she was based on another child character from an obscure holiday film. I don't remember what holiday film it was, but movie fan, if you're watching this, if you know the holiday film, please type it down in the comments below. But I've been spending too much time on Debbie Ex Machina and how her boring presence just irritated me because there was so much to be done with this young girl. She could have been a little bit more interesting. She could have not used her annoyingly nasal singing voice to save the day. She could have had a little bit more personality. But as she was boring. She was innocuous. And if you just cut her out altogether or just made her a little bit more interesting, I'm pretty sure that Debbie Ex Machina would have been a little bit more of an asset to the main plot. And this next point also ties into the problem I've had with Debbie Ex Machina, and that is the villain's plan of using the bias blaster to make the Rangers irrationally not stand each other, let alone show no tolerance to each other of their different holidays. Looking back at the bias blaster, it was completely stupid. Because what was that going to accomplish, right? Yes, it made the Rangers and Raymond go off on each other. But having the villain steal the holiday paraphernalia much later was just completely stupid. Here's what I propose. Just get rid of the bias blaster altogether and just steal the holiday paraphernalia and bring the Rangers and Raymond to a secluded area where they have to find them. But here's the catch. The Machine Empire, consisting of King Mondo, Queen Machina, and Prince Sprocket, let alone their advisors and the cogs, should come up with some ground rules. The first ground rule established is they're not going to find their own holiday paraphernalia, but they're going to find each other's holiday paraphernalia. It makes sense, right? There are 6 main participants involved, especially in the International Holiday Festival. You have Tommy, Raymond, Rocky, Adam, Tanya, and Kat. That's right, you got 6 participants. For instance, you could have had Tommy search for Raymond's menorah. Rocky search for the recipes needed for Kat's shrimps on the Barbie. Adam searching for Tanya's 7 candles and what they really mean, whether it be faith or community or even a lot of the other good things that the 7 candles of Kwanzaa represent. Or even have Rocky search for Adam's ingredients for Korean sweets, such as steamed pears called baesuk. And if you really wanted to further establish Tommy and Kat as a couple, you could have had Kat search for Christmas ornaments for Tommy's Christmas tree, and Tommy search for the recipes needed for Kat's shrimp on the Barbie and what to do to make them. You could have even had Adam search for Rocky's ingredients on how to make tamales, or even how to create a piñata and what to stuff them with. You could have even had Raymond search for Tanya's candles and find out what they really mean. You could have had Tanya search for Raymond's candles for the menorah and what they really mean. All the possibilities are endless. You could have worked with them. This was a golden opportunity for the Rangers and Raymond to be involved in a scavenger hunt to search for each other's holiday paraphernalia and even learn from each other, let alone have the viewers learn from what these holiday paraphernalia really mean, especially what these holidays really mean. These were golden opportunities, but because the writers added in way too many story elements, they just didn't follow through with it, and then we got stuck with Debbie Ex Machina and her annoyingly nasal voice. And to make it more challenging, why not have Prince Sprocket and his cogs be the main adversaries and try to distract the Rangers and Raymond from completing their quests? That would have been really cool. That would have been a golden opportunity for the Rangers and Raymond to get a lot more involved and be a lot more engaged with each other's holidays, and even have Prince Sprocket and his cogs pose more of a threat against them rather than having that rubbish bias blaster being blasted at them. That would have made no sense whatsoever. With all of my vitriol against that missed opportunity aside, and the passion I have for this solution being brought to the mix, a scavenger hunt for each other's holiday paraphernalia and the various combinations I can come up with are the solutions that I believe would have made a season to remember worth watching. It would have increased the stakes for Tommy, Raymond, Rocky, Adam, Tanya, and Kat to not only become a lot more acquainted with each other's holiday celebrations, but also learn from each other and make us, the viewers, learn not just from mouth service, but also from actual action being done and having these problems being solved with active participation. With all the problems and solutions that I have listed, there comes the final nail in the coffin and the final solution that I have to solve this particular holiday special's issues, and that is the overall jumbled mess that I have witnessed from a season to remember. It's a terrible idea to mash Old Man Tommy's and Old Lady Kat's segments, with the main issue going on with the International Holiday Festival preparations and the investigating that Bulk and Skull have to do for some missing fruitcake, as well as having Debbie Ex Machina fix the Rangers and Raymond's problems, thus making it an all-over jumbled mess without even giving Debbie Ex Machina some fanfare, let alone some fleshing out. That right there is what made Power Rangers Zeo's A Season to Remember completely chaotic from start to finish. And the result was a jumbled mess, a directionless mess, and a mess that was totally lacking in focus, totally lacking in clarity, and not being explicit as to what it was really trying to convey. Yes, the message of tolerance and celebrating the holidays with each other is clear, but it wasn't really made that totally clear with all of this jumbled up mess. Here's what I propose. Why not just streamline everything all together? Make it have way more cohesion, be more focused, and have less disjointed meandering, because that's what A Season to Remember felt like. Disjointed meandering. From the Old Man Tommy segments to the main action going on with the International Holiday Festival to all of the slapstick occurrences going on with Bulk and Skull searching for some missing fruitcake, everything just seemed to be not cohesive and did not gel well. By focusing the entire action on the International Holiday Festival, as well as Lieutenant Stone be active members in that particular holiday festival, the writers could have done a lot better if they had remained focused, if they had remained as clear with their goals and not meander to too many different directions to the point where they ended up pushing a multicolored emergency button to bring in Debbie Ex Machina to solve their problems. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Rewatching Power Rangers Zeo's A Season to Remember made me realize just how much more disjointed this piece of crap truly was. Yes, I'm going there. A Season to Remember was a piece of crap for not being mean-spirited and for not being terrible, but for being directionless with its goals, for showing less focus with what it wanted to convey, and for constantly meandering without much consequence, let alone making it completely innocuous and totally inconsequential to what everything was going to resolve with. And that's why it ended up being so mediocre. In my opinion, it wasn't necessarily the whole Tomcat agenda that continued to be shoveled down our throats, but it was the sheer directionlessness, the lack of focus as to what the writers were trying to convey, and the convenient solution to the problems that the Rangers and Raymond found themselves in. At least trying to make it clearer and trying to make a scavenger hunt a lot more of a reason why the Rangers have to retrieve their holiday paraphernalia from Prince Sprocket would have made things better. And it would have been just as great to see Prince Sprocket throw a tantrum for not getting everything and for having his things returned by the Rangers and Raymond. That would have been just as satisfying rather than having Prince Sprocket receive the last laugh, even with his dad fuming at the word love. Well, at least I can finally put a season to remember from Power Rangers Zeo to rest and just be thoroughly done with this. Good riddance to a season to remember from Power Rangers Zeo, and may your directionlessness be forever forgotten from me, and may you at least take in whatever solutions I've had well, and may they be carried with you until your dying days. And for those of you who caught Power Rangers Zeo's A Season to Remember, what'd you think of it? Did you feel like a scavenger hunt would have been a lot more beneficial for the Rangers and Raymond to partake in, especially when it's hosted by Prince Sprocket and his cogs? Did you also feel that the problems that I addressed and the solutions that I had to fix A Season to Remember were reasonable? Do you have any other problems that you spotted with A Season to Remember? And could you also list some possible solutions to fix A Season to Remember's problems? Or did you feel like it's just too little too late and A Season to Remember was just nothing more than innocuous fluff? Please comment below and let me know. Well, that's it with me addressing the problems I've had with Power Rangers Zeo's A Season to Remember and the solutions I proposed for this below mediocre holiday special. Tune in much later for the problems that I've spotted with Alpha's Magical Christmas, as well as the solutions I propose for it. So until then, happy holidays everybody, and may the power protect you.